Welcome back in. This segment of the Sports Source is brought to you by Safe T Systems. When it comes to feeling good about your home, whether at night or when you're away, no one provides more peace of mind across East Tennessee than Safe T Systems. Call VFL JJ Surlis and his team at Safe T Systems this week. So we've gone over the Tennessee players selected in the NFL draft. 5 Vols. By the way, 5 in the first 3 rounds. Only Alabama had more in the first 3 rounds of the draft than Tennessee.
Yep.
Didn't realize that.
Maybe the answer will come across as obvious, maybe not. Which Vol will be the toughest for Tennessee to replace this upcoming fall, Bob?
Well, I think the obvious is obviously Hendon Hooker. Let's let that set out there because I think that is going to be the toughest one because he was so good. I'm going to Cavaliers the question a little bit, and I think it's going to be.
I was instructed
Hyatt.
to not allow that.
I think it'll be Hyatt and Tillman combined. I think you've been so dynamic at receiver the last 2 years. Do you have the dynamic guy going into this season that's going to help Milton out? So I look at that more as a positional thing than one guy, and so Cavaliersing it, I'm going to go with Tillman and Hyatt both are going to be the toughest.
Will, which way do you go?
I go Hooker first. I mean,
Okay.
I just
And that was number one.
I just look at it as the amount of turnovers. I mean, even
Yeah.
if Joe Milton does really good, how many times are you going to turn it over? He did such a great job protecting the ball. That's hard to even replicate, right? So in that season he had, so I think he's the most difficult place. Even though you've got a good person that's you think he's going to have a good year, it's still hard to get to that level that he left here last year. I think from there it is Hyatt. I just look at the production and you go, where am I going to get that many touchdowns, that many yards? And then I think the sleeper one is Fant for me, just because he gave you a dynamic that I think you could have used more and more. But Hooker's my main, Hyatt's the second.
Vince?
It is Hooker, but a second one to me is Darnell Wright.
And that's a good answer, too.
And look, he was really, really good this year. And now you have John Campbell from Miami. We'll see if he's going to be able to take that left tackle spot. And if he is, then you move the 2 guys that split that position last year in Crawford and Mincy to right tackle. And I guess Dane Davis is in that mix, too. And try to get a right tackle out of that. That's that, and you still have a unfilled and determined guard position. So now you're not leaning on as many guys that are rocks for you to fill one spot. Now you have multiple and things going on other ways. So I think there's the biggest drop off there. And another one could be Byron Young, just because he was the only one that had more than 3 sacks last year at 7. And I don't think anyone has really separated in terms of showing that they can be the pass rush guy.
I've seen enough guys that I would say from young guys with speed off the edge that I kind of go, I think there's a guy or 2 there that could come up with it.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I would say against Byron Young. I've seen a couple of guys, and I think maybe I'm wrong, but I just know how your years progress you a little bit. And if they take the same track that I would expect, they would be good fill-ins for him this year.
Yeah, the potential's there, yeah.
I think it says something, too, about this draft and this group of guys drafted. This shows you how much Tennessee improved because, like you said, okay, only Alabama had more. When you lose guys in the top 3 rounds to the NFL, they're pretty good football players. I mean, there's good football players found later, but everybody looks at these guys. And so it just says something about what made this Tennessee team special this past year, that you had in the first 3 rounds 5 guys. Would we have sat here last year and said, okay, that's going to happen? 5 guys are going to go in the first 3 rounds? I don't think so.
No, I think you would have said Tillman last year was your guy that could go in the first 3 rounds. I think everybody else.
And everybody after that, yeah. And even though he was an undrafted free agent, I think, replacing Fant is going to be not just, okay, we're going to run tight ends out there and it's going to be okay. I think he ended up being a better player in so many different ways than what the NFL gave him credit for, being a undrafted free agent.
We actually checked the tape, and none of us said that this many guys would go this early in the draft. So later on, we are going to take a look at why we were so wrong. So we'll do that a little bit later in the show. And I do think this segment shows the importance of all of those players that we had a wide range of answers of guys that will be toughest to replace. When we come back, what about Hendon Hooker in the NFL? How important is his success at the next level for Josh Heupel in Tennessee? We'll discuss right here on The Sports Source.